Hey everyone, and welcome to What Did I Miss? This video is one that I've been very excited to make, because I have been a fan of the Fallout series of video games for some time now. While each game has its own merits, the series is mostly regarded as a role-playing style shooter game, but the aspect of these games that always attracted me the most was the world they had created and the characters that dwelled within it. I always felt that this universe would lend itself perfectly to a big or small screen adaptation, and in 2020, my prayers to Adam were answered when a live action series was announced by Amazon Prime. Fast forward a few years, and we finally have our first look at the series, as well as a cast list and release window. Thanks to the internet, we also have some pictures taken from the filming of the first season that bring entire set pieces from the game to life. So here I thought I would go over everything we know so far about the upcoming Amazon Prime Fallout series, which one writer has called a gonzo crazy funny adventure and mind like none you've ever seen before. But before I travel too far into the wasteland, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for future videos like this one. Fallout is a series of games that began with Fallout 1 in 1997, and in total at least 9 games have been released under the Fallout banner. However, due to different companies publishing the games over the years, it can be murky to understand which events are canon. But the main through-line background story is the same, which is that these games are set in a post-apocalyptic world hundreds of years into the future. The Fallout universe shares much of the same past as the real world, which begins to truly diverge after the events of the Second World War and the United States' usage of nuclear power. Instead of being horrified by the effects of the atom bomb, the United States became enamored and inspired by it. Because of this, the US as well as the rest of the world would further the development of nuclear power to the point that it would be small enough to power household appliances. This would also lead to an even greater strain on the world's natural resources that inevitably led to many terrible wars. In the late 21st century, while most of Europe is involved in a war with countries in the Middle East, the United States is facing the prospect of invasion or annihilation from the country of China after the two world powers had been fighting for many years. This leads the US to begin building underground settlements called vaults that are meant to save people from the coming disaster, which does come in the form of a nuclear bombardment in the year 2077. Each game centers around a character that is based in or around one of these vaults and how they are able to survive in what is now a landscape destroyed by nuclear war. Now there is a lot more to the history of these games that I could get into in a future video, so let me know in the comments if you want me to do a follow-up Fallout history video in the coming weeks. But for the purposes of this video, which is supposed to be about the upcoming live-action series on Amazon, I think that this is all you really need to know about the story behind Fallout going into episode 1. There's also a very good chance that not all the lore from the games will be faithfully adapted to the series, but given the creative team behind it at Amazon, I believe that this will be a close adaptation of at least the later games. That is because Todd Howard, the man who directed the games Fallout 3 as well as Fallout 4 and served as executive producer on Fallout 76, will also be an executive producer on this series. He has been developing the series with Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy, who are the creators as well as the showrunners of Westworld on HBO. You may also remember that Jonathan Nolan wrote the screenplays for the films The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. There are a few other creative teams working together currently that have the resumes that these individuals have, which should translate into a finished product that is not only intriguing but visually stunning. Westworld in particular could act as a blueprint for this Fallout series, as that story also takes place in an alternate future and follows many different characters throughout the series. Speaking of the visuals of this series, there have been some set pics that have been released on the internet that show many callbacks to the games. This first one is of Super Duper Mart, which is basically the Walmart of the Fallout universe and is featured in all the games after Fallout 3, I believe. I noticed that you can see a lot of sand in the parking lot of this Super Duper Mart, which may be a hint as to what part of the United States the series will be located that I will get into in a bit. In these pictures, you can see the interior of what looks like a vault, and if you play the game, you probably already agree that this style looks very accurate. The attention to detail looks very spot on, and it also appears from the state of things that this vault may have been damaged or the residents have revolted. You can also see here in this picture that this is vault number 32, which I do not believe has ever been featured in Fallout canon. This, however, is not the vault that our protagonists will be emerging from, as the first official still from the series here, we can see the people in this vault belong to Vault 33. In the video games, there are over 120 vaults, and the numbering seems to begin on the west coast and then travel east sequentially, which would put Vault 32 and Vault 33 somewhere possibly in Nevada or Arizona. The sand covering the parking lot of the Super Duper Mart may also be a sign that the desert has taken over that area, which would mean that this takes place somewhere close to a desert. Looking at this photo, you can also see a few other things that are going on in the scene, which I'm sure will be featured in the first official trailer for the series. First of all, it is evident to me that the character in the doorway is leaving the vault and not trying to enter it, mainly because there's an obvious shadow here of a Pip-Boy device, another hallmark of the games, and in each game this device is always put on the main character's left arm. If that holds true, then this character is facing outside and attempting to escape their surroundings. I say escape because besides the body language of these three watching the character at the door, I also noticed a pair of legs on the floor. This is probably someone that our protagonist had to knock out in order to make it out the vault door. As far as the cast goes for this series, since it is not a direct adaptation of any one game, all of the main characters will be new additions to the Fallout story. This is also in line with the games, since except for a few notable exceptions, characters do not usually return from prior games, as they are sometimes set hundreds of years apart. But the main characters of the live-action series have been created with the characteristics of many of the most infamous non-player characters from the games in mind. Also, this series is reported to follow 3 separate main characters, each with a different agenda. The first of which will be a ghoul played by Walton Goggins, who I believe will be a breakout star for the series. Walton Goggins has spent the last couple decades playing loquacious characters like the outlaw Boyd Crowder on Justified, Venus the transvestite prostitute with a heart of gold on Sons of Anarchy, and most recently baby Billy Freeman on The Righteous Gemstones. Now in a lead role, I can't wait to see what kind of likable ghoul he creates, who I believe will be similar in tone to the character Hancock from Fallout 4. In case you don't play the games, a ghoul is a human being who has been irradiated by the nuclear fallout of the Great War. Most ghouls are mindless target practice, but many retain parts of their humanity and just live out their days as deformed individuals. They also have unnaturally long lives, so his character will also be a great source of information about what has happened. The second main character will be played by another veteran of the small screen, actor Kyle MacLachlan, who is best known as Agent Cooper from the series Twin Peaks. Not much is known about what character he will be playing, but given his history of playing Jekyll and Hyde type characters, I imagine him as possibly an overseer of one of the vaults on the show. Since the overseers in the games were supposed to be the leaders of their vaults, but most were hiding some sort of nefarious and dangerous secret that led to the people they were in charge of to be used as lab experiments. I even think there's a chance that this character in this photo could be the one played by Kyle MacLachlan, as it matches his height and hair color as far as I can see. The third main character of the series will be played by Ella Purnell, who many will recognize from another recent post-apocalyptic style zombie film, Army of the Dead. Star Trek fans may also recognize her voice, since she is currently voicing one of the main characters on the animated series Prodigy. Both of these characters are protagonists of their respective stories, and I think that is exactly the type of character that she will be playing again in this series. In fact, I would not be surprised if she is the person trying to escape Vault 33 in this photo, and we follow her as a first-person narrative throughout the series, much like a character that a player would create when beginning any of the games in the series. If she is escaping the vault that she is living in, then she will be on the run in this new wasteland without any idea of what she is up against, having lived her whole life in a secure underground vault. I think that will probably be where Walton Goggins' character will meet our protagonist and teach her about her surroundings, while also getting the audience up to speed on the world that these characters live in. Being that filming on the first season is reported to be on schedule to be complete by the end of 2022, I would expect a release date to accompany a trailer in the first quarter of 2023. The fourth season of The Boys will debut on Amazon probably in the summer, so expect Fallout's first season to follow shortly after that. Along with The Boys and the Rings of Power, Amazon is throwing a lot of money and resources towards becoming a powerhouse in the streaming wars, and this Fallout series will be another high-value property for them, which means that the show will receive a lot of push, and once we have more details about the first season, I will share them on the channel. Well, that is everything I have today, but let me know in the comments if I missed anything. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please hit that like button if you have enjoyed it, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?